welcome guys. First of all, I want to ask you about your debut album, because from a year from now there will be a 10th anniversary of your debut album. And are you playing something for that occasion?
Well, I mean, we put out the reissue. I mean, we put out the reissue of the album with the demo tracks. So I think we'll probably be playing maybe a song or two off that the next time we do a tour, but nothing super special planned around it. I feel like the reissue was sort of the special I don't know, occasion that we had for our fans or whatever. But so yeah, nothing super special planned in the works for that album. But I'm sure one or two songs will make it into our set.
Do you still like this album? How would you describe? How would you compare your debut album with your last record, Greatest Our Sin?
Well, with the debut record, we were just kids, writing it in basements and stuff like that, and so I think we've definitely grown a lot as a band, as musicians, as songwriters. Of course, since that's our first record, it's always going to hold a special place in my heart. That was really the album that put us on a lot of people's radars. But I think as the band has progressed, yeah, like I said, we've just gotten sort of tighter with the songwriting and just a general sort of musical sensibility of what we want this band to sound like, and we've really kind of honed in on just what the Revocation vibe is. I feel like more and more with every release.
As you're in a band for just one record, how is the reception from fans? What was the reception from them when you joined the band and now after the last album?
The reception's been good. I've heard nothing but positive things from people, and everyone's made me feel really welcome to the fold, and I'm happy to just be helping this band continue the legacy and to be a part of it, so yeah.
Dave, you may not remember this, but actually I'm sure you won't remember this, but we were talking a couple years ago when you were on a tour with Cannibal Corpse and you were in Krakow in Poland. We were talking about cover arts for your albums, especially for Deathless. You told me that it was inspired somehow by Beksinski. Could you tell us how was the work with Tom on this cover art? Have you been inspired by him especially, or is just some connection that you will later develop?
Well, Tom was actually the one who introduced me to Beksinski, and I've been a fan of his work ever since Tom showed it to me. It's just really right up my alley in terms of weird surrealism. You could tell like Geiger was influenced by Beksinski. He just had a very nightmarish and otherworldly vision that he was able to capture so well in all of his paintings. So yeah, for Deathless, definitely told Tom, like, I love the Beksinski sort of monoliths that he does that are just these kind of stark images and landscapes that he creates. On Great Is Our Sin, the direction I sort of pointed him in was more like the Hieronymus Bosch kind of realm. I wanted to do a triptych that kind of, in a loose way, sort of told the story of the record. So I told him to check out some Bosch stuff and try to use that as inspiration for the new record. And I think he really nailed it. I mean, when you look at the whole fold out of Great Is Our Sin, there's just so much detail, and there's just sort of this one really interesting fluid scene that Tom was able to create. And if you read the lyrics, and you see what he pulled from the lyrics, the artwork itself tells a story, and yeah, I just love that about his style. It's very unique, but it also has a lot of symbolism in it, and he hides all these interesting references throughout the artwork, and Great Is Our Sin is no different.
Besides Revocation, you are working in some other projects. Could you tell us more about that project, more about similarities and differences between Revocation and your other works in other projects?
Yeah, well, I play in another band called Artificial Brain, and it's quite different from Revocation, other than, I guess, we both have a lot of blast beats and stuff and trem picking. But I think that being in Revocation kind of pushed along my songwriting with that band because I want to explore sounds that Revocation might not necessarily do. So, like, I have more range when it comes to songwriting now because I'll write for Revocation in one style and then I'll write for Artificial Brain in a different style. So, yeah, I don't know. I think that they influence each other in that I try to keep them separate. You know what I mean? But other than that, I don't know. I'm mostly busy with Revocation, so I don't really get to jam with them too much. But it's been cool.
Yeah, I'm playing in a band called River Black. We just put out a record on Season of Mist. Totally different style of music, and it's got 3 of the members from Burnt by the Sun. I don't know if you guys remember that band, but similar sound, but a continuation of a different kind of leg of the chemistry between those guys with me in the mix as well. And it's just different things. Revocation's the main thing that we do, but if we have a little free time and another group of people that we all get along with, I think we all kind of deviate and do these side projects just to keep playing and, you know, challenge ourselves in different ways, because each project brings a different set of satisfaction and challenge to the table.
We're also working, if I remember correctly, on a project called Publicist UK.
Yeah.
It's very different from that what you are playing in Revocation. Could you tell us more about that project, how it started and developed?
Yeah, Publicist UK put out a record on Relapse. Right now we're just kind of mellowed out and, you know, probably work on another record and put that out maybe next year 2 through 3, who the hell knows. But that was a remote project that one of the band members hit me up about, kind of just collaborating. This guy, David Obachowski, played in a band called Goes Cube. And he hit me up, and, you know, as I mentioned, I was playing in the other band, River Black. Publicist UK and River Black have the same drummer, Dave Whitty. And I was over at Dave's house, and I'm like, Dave, check out these songs. I'm doing this project. And he was like, you guys need a drummer? And I'm like, yeah, totally. Let's do it. And then we had never met the singer, really, until we played our first show. So that record was written and recorded completely remote without anybody even really meeting each other. And then we finally got to go out and, you know, do some light touring in Europe and in the United States and put out a record on Relapse. But the sounds completely couldn't be more further away from Revocation. And, you know, I think maybe it's even mismarketing to put the 2 bands in the same sentence because they're so different. Yeah.
Right on. Yeah, I don't know. I play in a few other side bands, 2 back at home in Vancouver, one called Ultra Earth, one called Ritual Dictates, and I play in another band called Old Black with Jed Simon from Strapping a Lad. And, I mean, they're all metal in a sense, but, I mean, that thing with Jed, I've always been a huge Strapping a Lad fan, and I try and do what I think Gene Hoglan would do and what I would do in that situation. So that's really fun. But mainly I just do Revocation and stuff, and yeah, that's really about it. So how about you, Dave?
Yeah, so I'm starting up a new band. We don't have a name yet. It's me and another dude from Ayahuasca. He's a Canadian band, really great musician, singer. The music is still evolving. We're currently in the process of writing. So it seems like it's just kind of ever changing. But we sort of started with the core of like Virus Worship, Virus the band, and from there we're just bringing in a whole lot of different elements. So it's going to be really unique. Vocally, it's going to be all singing. But yeah, it's going to be a really weird project. I'm very excited for it. I can't wait to just finish up the writing process and then sort of hunker down and see who else we're going to get, because right now it's just myself and Luke doing all the writing. So hopefully we'll get a drummer and a bass player soon. And then from there, I'll just try to record some demos and put it out there.
I'd like to go back to your latest record, Greatest Hour Sin. On the one of the tracks features collaboration with Marty Friedman. Could you tell us how did this happen? How did you get in touch with Marty, and was he a big influence for you?
Yeah, Marty is a huge influence on me. He's definitely in my top 5 favorite guitar players. I was fortunate enough to collaborate with him on a record, his album Inferno. Basically, how that all came about was I was asked to give a quote about Marty's playing for, I think it was for like an album he was putting out or some kind of publication, and through his people that got back to him, and then it turns out he was a fan of my writing, and we just kind of connected over email, and we ended up collaborating on a song. The song's called Sociopaths. Like I said, I was on his Inferno record, and we just sort of stayed in touch since then. And when we had our new record coming out, he was the first person I thought of in terms of doing like guest solo. I thought it'd be a cool special thing to do because we'd never really done that before. So sent him an email. He was all about it. He just delivered a killer solo on that song. It's totally Marty. It's got his signature style. And yeah, we've stayed in touch, even since then. I actually joined him on stage in Boston when he came through with his band, got up there and did a couple, trading solos with him. So yeah, he's just such a nice guy and a great musician, and just really so pleased to have him be a part of our record.
And carrying on with the collaborations theme, Greatest Our Sin was produced by Zeus, who is famous for work with bands like Hatebreed or Crowbar, so it's not really your cup of tea in the terms of sound and production. How do you think he influenced your sound, the sound of the Greatest Our Sin?
Well, I mean, musically the album was already written, so what he did was just he lent his sonic expertise to it in terms of getting the right guitar sounds, getting drum sounds, the overall mix. So in that regard, he obviously had a huge hand in it. But musically, other than like maybe a couple suggestions here and there, the music comes from us. We don't go. We're not a band that goes into the studio and like writes in the studio. We really flesh everything out before then, just to make sure we dot our I's and cross our T's and make sure everything is exactly how we want it for the most part. Did anyone have a different experience? Or?
You said it right there.
Are you happy with the collaboration with him?
Yeah, for sure. I had a blast working with anyone. Want to share any other experience?
No, I love Deathless and the Terra to Genesis EP and our latest record. He's a great producer. Yeah.
So, last but not least, one of your songs was featured in the Power Rangers movie. Can you tell us how did this happen?
Yeah, I was the 6th Power Ranger, and I'm never in the movies. I was Fuchsia, yeah, and I never get called to do anything. So I finally was like, hey. I got, who's the big face in the jar? Zordon? I got Zordon on the horn. And I said, hey, it's time to pay the piper, No, I really don't know how it worked out. I got a phone call from our manager, like late at night. I'm like, this is either good or bad. And he's like, Dave, you're going to be in the new Power Rangers movie. I'm like, oh, sweet. So someone apparently who does the sound design, music selection at Lionsgate is a Revocation fan, so... Thanks, man, if you're watching. Power Rangers 2, we got another song. It's called Powerful Rangers.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah, appreciate it.
Thank you guys.